What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. And today we have a very special guest, all the way from NC State, 2023 All-American, Trent Hidlay. Trent, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. Look forward
Of
to it.
course. Of course, man. Not a problem. The pleasure is all ours. First off, congratulations, man. An incredible season you put together this year. Capture yourself an ACC title, and then you go ahead and get yourself an All-American spot on the podium this year at Nationals. So congratulations to you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It was definitely a good season, a lot of good stuff to take away from it, and got one more year left. So take some take some things away from it and get better from it, and get ready this spring and summer to make another run at it.
Yeah, man. We're kind of going to start off with a little bit of throwing it back. Talk a little bit about, where your career got started, who got you into the sport, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I started wrestling when I was 5 years old. Hayden, my older brother, by 2 years. He started 2 years before me, and I kind of just followed his footsteps. We don't come from a wrestling background really. My dad never wrestled. My oldest brother never wrestled. He played football, basketball, golf, baseball, pretty much everything other than wrestling. But when Hayden was in kindergarten, I think some of his older friends were on the wrestling team and asked him to come out for it, and he was kind of a natural right away. So kind of got into it, the sport, that way. I wasn't quite as good as a younger kid, but I was a pretty fiery and energetic young guy. So I think it was a good sport for me to get into and kind of channel my aggressiveness into into sports and wrestling specifically. I grew up in Lewistown, Pennsylvania, kind of right in the center of PA, where the wrestling's really strong. So I was always kind of exposed to high level wrestling and high level coaches, which I was really lucky to be a part of. And I think even looking back at that now, I didn't realize at the time how cool it was. But going to NC State and being from North Carolina, or living in North Carolina, you see the differences of youth and high school wrestling. So I was really lucky to be a part of a great team and a great environment for wrestling at a young age. But I wrestled, every year in youth. We got pretty started to get pretty serious into it after a few years. Saw some more success at the youth level. PA is pretty competitive with the PJW, like youth state championships. I never won one, but I placed every time I went. So I was always pretty good. Technically wasn't like the best, but I was always pretty strong and wrestled really hard. So that usually got good results. Going into, I guess, I don't know, like my sixth and seventh grade years, I really didn't like the sport that much, and I was kind of more focused on baseball and football, and didn't really want to do it that much anymore. I guess didn't really have a passion for it, but my brother Hayden really kind of brought me along and uh, kind of got me to love the sport again, which was, you know, looking back, a really special moment for me. So I think right around my eighth grade, summer of my eighth grade year, I started to turn the corner a little bit and just started to fall in love with the sport. And I knew I wanted to do big things in the sport. So I stopped playing. I guess freshman year, I stopped playing baseball and football and focused all on wrestling. And from that time period on, it was really, dedicated my life to this sport, and started to see more success in my freshman sophomore year, and then finished out pretty well. But yeah, my freshman year was it was pretty tough. I had to cut a lot of weight because Hayden and I were kind of the same size, and he wrestled 145, and we had a senior on our team that was pretty decent at 152. So I cut all the way down to 138, and it was a nightmare. But I definitely I definitely gained a lot of, I guess, physical and mental toughness from that year that I feel like I still lean on towards this day, from just weight cutting and being young and wrestling more mature guys than I was. I was a state qualifier. I lost in, I guess you could call it, the blood round of the state tournament. And then, really after that is when I went all in, and that whole summer, spring, uh, trained like crazy with Hayden. We went to a lot of national tournaments, and my sophomore year, I had a pretty good year. I think that was like the first time I was ranked nationally, and was a state runner up. And then after my sophomore years, I ran the table my junior senior year, won 2 state titles and went undefeated. So I guess between my freshman and sophomore year, I saw a lot of growth, and then sophomore junior year, I really turned it on from there.
So talk a little bit about who's number one. I
Okay.
know a lot of people love the who's number one moment for you. You get yourself a pin
Mhm.
against a very talented Julian Ramirez. You solidify yourself as number one in the country after that. So what was that like wrestling at who's number one? And I think a lot of people remember your moment you had at who's number one.
Yeah, it was a really fun event, and I wasn't originally in the event. I was pretty salty about it. And then like a week before, Willie had messaged me and asked if I wanted to do it, and I was like, "To hell yeah, I want to do it! Like I'm in." And so we kind of made some adjustments. I had to reschedule a official visit I had to to make it work at Purdue, but they were cool about it, and no, it was really exciting. It was a cool event at Lehigh, which was one of the schools I was looking at, and there's just a cool atmosphere in that gym. It was packed. Obviously, number one spot in the country on the line. So it's pretty high stakes, and I had never wrestled Ramirez before, and it was just the whole thing was pretty fun. Like they did a good job of the whole weekend was a good time, and they treated us really well. So it was a fun event, and um, pretty low scoring, but I kind of pushed the pace and was able to get the pin at the end. And that was kind of when my the Hidlay the Hoagie Hidlay thing was kind of born. And my buddy Jarrett Lane, who was at the event, it was going to Lehigh. We were club members and really good friends. We still are to this day. I told him I was thinking of like a celebration. I was like, I gotta do something cool. Like they were telling us all weekend, like be like it's just good entertainment, like and go into that. So I was like, well, I gotta do something cool if I win. And we had hoagies for lunch, and like right around that time, Hayden and I were like kind of big into hoagies, and like had this thing called Hoagie Club where we eat hoagies on the weekend and watch football or whatever. It was something dumb, but I was like, take half of this hoagie if I win, throw it out to me, and I'll take a bite. And like after I won, I was so fired up, I wasn't even really thinking about it, and I was celebrating like crazy. And I just like I'm walking around, they see this hoagie flying at me. I was like, all right, here we go. So I caught it and I bite it. I took a bite out of it, and the ref was like trying to get me not to do it, and my mouth was so dry I could like barely eat it. But that was a funny moment, and I think a lot of people had a good laugh from that. But yeah, ever since then, I've kind of leaned into the Hoagie Hidley
Hoagie
nickname.
Hadley. Yeah,
Uh,
man. I think if there was one moment I think that would stay remembered forever in wrestling history from who's number one, it might be that celebration.
oh yeah,
I mean, just one of the funniest, just like you said, it was just like a hoagie just got thrown and nobody knew who threw it. But it's like you just saw it fly through the air and you grab it and just take a bite on the mat. And it was like just crazy funny, man. Crazy I mean, like you said, that at that point, it's like you solidify yourself as one of the top guys in the country. At that point, you're going D1. Like your career is, at the highest point as it's gonna be. And why not have a little fun with it? Why not, go out there and entertain the people that are there watching? I mean, but it was
sure.
awesome. I remember watching on Flow and just being like, this kid's nuts. Like like just a hoagie after a match like that. It was
Well,
crazy.
the thing was too is like I kind of had like a bloody nose too, and it was so hot in there, and I was like my mouth was so dry, and I couldn't like swallow the bread, and I kept like chewing it, and they were like Willie was gonna like interview me like on the mat, and I was just like so tired. I was like, oh, this is brutal, but it ended up being really funny, so it was a success.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, talk a little bit about your recruitment to NC State. I mean, I'm sure your brother Hayden, having, at that point, like you said, 2 years older than you. So,
Mhm.
what was that like? I know he had 2 years in the books by the time you got there as a freshman.
Yeah, so I guess like Hayden and I's recruitment was a little different because he kind of his senior he was always good in high school, but like he had a really good year his senior year. And at that point he was already committed, so like he was recruited by a lot of schools, but he NC State was kind of the first to recruit him, and it was kind of his number one the whole way. So it's probably I mean a little bit easier of a decision for him, and he wanted to go somewhere that was kind of up and coming, and NC State was turning the corner in the nation, doing some really good things after their 2016 year. So it just really all fit, and he wanted to be kind of the face of the program moving forward, and it was just a great fit. And for me, I maybe had a little more success as like a junior, and things started to change a little bit with recruiting. Like you couldn't take your official visits until your senior year, so I wanted to wait as long as I could to take my or take my official visits to really see what I liked. And I was recruited by a lot of schools, and I think some people probably thought I was just going to go to NC State because Hayden was there, but I was really open to a lot of different schools because I wanted to go what fit my interest most. And I think it was probably pretty hard on my on my brother for a while. And the coaches here at NC State always get on me about how stressed out they were the whole recruiting process because they didn't think I was going to go there. Um, but it all worked out. I guess at the end my final four were NC State, Iowa, Lehigh, and Purdue, and I really liked all the programs. I had a lot of respect for all the coaches and thought I got along really well with them and the guys on the team. I really liked Iowa a lot. That was probably my number one for a while. But I think after my official visits, I felt really comfortable at NC State and the relationship I had with the coaches, and I knew regardless of what my wrestling career looked like that they were going to take care of me, and that was really big for me. I think that the biggest thing that sold me on NC State was that they kind of had like the underdog mentality of they're not a traditional powerhouse. They don't have a lot of history, but the vision that was sold to me by Coach Popolizio is that we want to win a national title here and we want to do something for the first time. And I always kind of viewed myself a little bit as like the underdog, like not the most technical, maybe not the most athletic, but you just worked really hard to get what I wanted. And I guess I kind of resonated with the program's mentality a little bit, and I wanted to be a part of a team that was going to do something for the first time and chase history. So that really attracted me to NC State, and obviously I was really familiar with what they were doing because Hayden had been there for 2 years, and he's my best friend. So it all just worked out really well. And when I got to NC State, it was probably a little easier for me than Hayden since he was there and kind of helped show me the ropes and get me along the way. But it was a great choice for me, and I love NC State for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
definitely. It's like you immediately found a home.
Yeah,
When you got there, it felt like homie brothers there. He's introducing you to the way everything works and his teammates and everything, and now your teammates. So that's definitely awesome. You could find something that fit you best.
yeah, and it was great because my recruitment class that I came in with was ranked pretty high. I think we might have been like third or fourth, and there were some guys that I knew, but like you don't really know them a whole lot until you get to be with them.
Mhm.
And I made just great friends, and I still some of my best friends were from my freshman year recruiting class, and everything just gelled really well together. You definitely can't beat the weather down here for sure.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure, especially being a PA boy, I'm sure you don't miss a lot of those PA winters down in North Carolina.
I'm telling you, I do not miss the high school days of it's like you wake up in the from like I don't know November to March. You like wake up in the morning, it'd be dark. You go to school, you practice, you leave, it's dark. It's just miserable. It's so
Especially, I don't know if your
miserable.
school was like mine, especially during wrestling season, you had practice in the morning. So
Yeah,
you
we
wake
practice in
up.
the afternoons. Yeah.
We had double.
Okay.
So we would have lit like a lift slash like running practice in the morning at like 5 o'clock, and it's like you said, it felt like you never saw daylight because you
Yeah.
you were you were at practice in the morning at like 5:45, 6 o'clock. Did that and then went to school, and then you had practice until like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and it was dark again. It was like
Right.
there was never a time during wrestling season where I saw the daylight other than in
Yeah.
class.
And it's like if people are like miserable and depressed for like 4 months out of the year. I'm like, dude, this sucks. And like I'm here now. You wake up and I think there might have been like 2 or 3 days this winter where it was below 30 degrees. I'm just like, dude, this is the best. Like the sun's always out. People aren't people
People are
aren't like
happy.
all the
Yeah.
time.
You don't have
This
to
is
shovel snow. That's got to be
no,
nice too.
I don't have to warm my car up for 30 minutes to go to school. Like this is pretty great.
Yeah,
So I
man.
always anytime we have like recruits or somewhere from the Northeast or a cold state, I'm like, you guys don't realize how good it is until you're here. It's like you might not ever go back.
Definitely. Oh, definitely,
No
man. And I
doubt.
think nobody enjoys PA winter. I feel like a lot of the guys like leave, like especially wrestlers, because it's like wrestling is prime winter. Wrestling season is
Mhm.
right when it's bad, right when it gets cold, it gets snowy. PA winters are no joke. So I'm not surprised that you enjoy that North Carolina sun when you're not back home in the
Yeah.
wintertime. I'm sure, man.
Probably makes it easier to cut weight.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like you're not you can you can practice and not be just cold all day long, like when the sun's out. It's like, cutting weight's
Yeah.
still hard, but it
Especially going for a
definitely
run, I'm sure you throw a hoodie and some
it,
sweatpants on and it's
yeah, it's
78
nice.
degrees outside. You're gonna sweat a little more than you would if it was 40.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, man. And talk a little bit about this season for you. I know obviously this year, you came in big with an ACC title, and then you go ahead and All American this year. So talk a little bit about kind of the prep and how you felt going through the season.
Yeah, it was a pretty good I guess for my standards, it wasn't, where I wanted to be, but look back and it was pretty dominant for the most part. One Cliff Keen, uh, the one I had gotten pinned by Keck Eisen in the New Orleans match. I got put in a cradle, but honestly, other than that, a lot of my matches were really really good, and I felt pretty dominant all year long. And going into to ACCs, I felt great. And like this year, my focus was, I'm in my fifth year of college wrestling, so it's really hard on you physically. And I think a little more of my focus this year was staying healthy, and in order to do that, kind of had to dial back some of my training that I've done in the past. And I think I did a pretty good job with that. It's such a long season that at the postseason everyone's dealing with something. And
Yeah.
the ACCs went pretty well. I thought I wrestled pretty well. I wrestled some tough guys, and then going into NCAA's, I felt prepared. I was confident in my ability and started out pretty well. I got a tech fall my first match against the guy from Ohio. Second match, wrestled a kind of a weird wrestler from Rutgers, just like kind of dangerous and always going big a lot. So I had to be disciplined in that match, but I got a major there. And then in the quarters, wrestled Hunter Bolin from Virginia Tech, who I've wrestled. It was, I guess that was the seventh time we wrestled in college. So it was a familiar matchup, but that was the best I've ever wrestled against them. So the NCAA was good. And going into the semis, I was wrestling Brooks, who had beaten me the past 2 years. And at that point, going into that match, I knew I really didn't have anything to lose. I wasn't predicted to win, but I knew that the way I had worked and prepared for this year, that I was ready to win, and it just didn't happen. I didn't have my best that night, and that's how NCAA's is sometimes. You're wrestling some of the best guys in the country and in the world. So, if everything's not clicking and you can't execute, then you're gonna get beat. And I did that night, and my mindset was pretty good going to the last day. The third day of NCAA's is one of the harder things to do in this sport because you're so beat up. Everyone's hurt. Nobody feels good. You're cutting weight again for the third weigh in a row, and you still got to wrestle two or maybe even three more matches. So it's like it's a it's a tough day, but mentally I was really good going into it. Physically, not so much. I'm still dealing with. I got like a pinched nerve in my neck, and I didn't realize it like during the tournament, but afterwards I've been in a lot of pain. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. But it was a tough third day. I wrestled Marcus Coleman in the Conci semis, and they won that match, and then lost to Caleb Romero for third, who wrestled. I wrestled him at Vegas, beat him in the semis, and wrestled him at NCAA's for fifth place last year and beat him. And I feel like anytime you wrestle someone in the sport, the more times you wrestle, the harder it gets. And especially someone at his level, I just didn't have enough in me to get the points that I needed to. And it's something that I have to focus on this spring and summer, is continuing to open up my offense and trust in different things. Because if my number one gets shut down, am I going to be able to get to something else, or am I going to let the match kind of dwindle down and risk it on a one-off shot. So, fourth place is, in my eyes, it's not what I wanted, but a few weeks after NCAA's, you can really put things in perspective of, anytime you can All-American at the NCAA tournament, it's really special. I've been there 3 times. I've placed all 3 times in the top 5, and it's a really great accomplishment, but it also keeps me hungry for more. And I know when I'm at my best and when I I'm wrestling at my full potential, I can win a national title. So this upcoming year will be big. A lot of time in the spring and summer is going to be focused on the things that I learned from the tournament, to prepare myself for next year and hopefully end up on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I don't think people realize how much of a toll just that NCAA tournament takes on your body.
Yeah,
3 days of just back to back to back wrestling.
yeah.
Like after one day of the tournament, you're cooked and you have to do that 3 days in a row. I don't think people really understand how difficult and impressive
It,
that is.
it's definitely a thing, and it's not just that. It's the whole season leading up to it, right? I mean, I think I wrestled. I might have wrestled like 30, like close to 30 matches this year, and that's a lot. And
Mhm.
it's probably not the most efficient way that we do it as a country, but people love NCAA wrestling because it's such a big deal. And that postseason, you have conference, you have a week off, and then you're training again for NCAA's, and you're traveling a few days out, you're cutting weight, you're practicing. It's a very physically demanding tournament, and you're rewarded for being healthy. And I think you see guys that you see really good guys that don't place that tournament. You're like, man, this is wild. And it's like you start going through the brackets, and you look at the guys that All American, you're like, that's awesome. And then you look at the guys that don't All American, and you're like,
165.
these
That was
guys are
160.
really
165 was a crazy weight class this year.
like these guys are really, really good. And some of them didn't win a match. It's like it's just a crazy tournament, and
Yeah,
in
anything
that
could happen.
tournament, everyone in that tournament is really good. So it's like you don't have any easy matches, and I think it puts things in perspective how impressive it is to place to that tournament and do well. And I've been able to do that for three times, and still have another one left. So I could be proud of that.
Yeah, man. So, what are some things you think you're gonna work on this summer to kind of be able to, set yourself up for, um, winning. Setting yourself up for, this year being the opportunity for you to make it all the way.
Sure. I've gotten better every year. I've gained new insights. I think for me, it's going to be able to stay healthy and stay fresh throughout a long season. Technical things, just expanding my offense and trusting it a little bit more, and really good at when it works. And when it's not working, sometimes I struggle to get to other ways to score. So I think just gaining a little bit more confidence in my secondary attacks and just kind of lagging.
I'm back.
I was gonna say it was lagging a little bit, but like I
Yeah, we're
was
good.
saying, we got a great team coming back as well, and really just try to be there as a leader for guys, and do my best to get myself ready, but also our team ready to make a run, and make some noise in the NCAA's.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you're not somebody who could be overlooked. Obviously, I think pretty much the top. I want to say what the top four returning. I think I don't know if Romero's another year, but I know you're coming back. Kekaisen's coming back, and Brooks is coming back. So and who knows where but there's a lot of talk that you might see somebody some of those guys at that weight make the move, up to 97 because whether it be the weight cut or the fact that Nino graduated this year, um, there's some words going around that some people might make the move up to 97, but is that something you're thinking, or are you gonna stay at 84?
Yeah, I really haven't made a decision yet. It's it. I'll either be 84 or 97. I don't really know yet. I still have to kind of decide some things with my coaches, but um, I get decently big in the summer, and it'll just depend on how big I get this summer and how comfortable I feel going into it. when you're in your 6th year, kind of cutting weight gets old a little bit. So we'll see what I do. I'm not sure what I'll do yet, but I want to be where the best guys are at, and I want to beat the best guys to win NCAA's. So um, probably wherever I think the best competition is, and wherever I feel best at is probably where I'm going to go. And it'll be for me. I guess I'll think about it as like I'll wrestle wherever I think I can wrestle my best at,
Yeah.
and just not worry about anything else. If I feel healthy at a weight and I feel strong and quick and health and I feel confident, then I'll go there. So we'll see. It's a long time until you know October and November where I have to start making that decision. So
Yeah.
wrestle a little
How
bit.
big do you get in the summer? What, like
I was just about to ask. He definitely
195?
gets big.
I'm usually around like 200, I guess, at like the peak of summer. So it's a little tough to get down the beginning of the season for 184, but then once I get down, it's really not an issue. So yeah, we'll see.
Definitely, man. I think we'll be excited to see next year where you're at. So I'm gonna throw it over to Matthew. We got just some wrestling stuff, some non-wrestling questions. Just kind of let the fans get to know a little bit about yourself on more than just watching you compete. So go ahead,
Yeah.
Matthew, if you want to take off.
We talk a lot about wrestling, and wrestling's a long season. I'm pretty sure you're just thinking about that for most of the year. But when you're not wrestling, what are you up to?
I like to hang out with the guys on the team a lot. Basically do what everybody else does, watch watch sports and watch movies, hang out, eat a lot. I like to catch up on a lot of the foods that I don't eat a lot during the season, and especially because the weather's so nice here. Like today, it's 85 degrees out, 88, and just spend some time outside. We like going to the pool a lot and hanging out, listening to music. Go to a few concerts this summer. I actually have one. I got a concert I'm going to Easter Sunday night. One Step Closer. It's kind of like a hardcore punk band. So I'm getting really fired up for that. But yeah, just enjoy the summer training, but also enjoy the time I get to spend with teammates and just goofing off.
Yeah, sweet,
All right.
man. And
I think
heavyweight.
a question the fans are dying to know: how many hoagies do you eat a year? What's the yearly hoagie count?
I just had one for lunch. So there's a restaurant in on NC State's campus that I kind of like designed my own hoagie for. And the owner of the restaurant's like a big supporter of our team. So at Mitch's Tavern, I got the Hidlay hoagie today, and man, a year, geez, I don't know. I'd say I probably average like at least one a week. So I guess anywhere from 50 to 60. I don't know. Is that crazy?
I
A lot of
thought it was gonna be
hoagies.
more. I really did. I thought we were gonna be in the triple digits. I thought you
Well,
were.
I mean, during the wrestling season, I eat pretty much the same stuff like every day. I'll eat pretty healthy and pretty clean stuff. So like I'm not always eating hoagies every week there, but I make up for it during the off season. I
During
don't
the
know.
summer.
What is in your custom
Yeah,
hoagie?
what's in the hoagie?
So it's starts out with like kind of oven roasted turkey or like or I usually always go turkey. So it's turkey, melted pepper jack cheese, tomatoes, lettuce, mayo, oregano on toasted bread. And the key is there's like a sweet jalapeno jam on it, and it's really good. So I usually always get when I was designing it, I always get like a hot pepper relish on it. And the chef at the restaurant suggested that they have this like sweet jalapeno jam, and I tried it and it was really good. So it goes pretty well on the hoagie there.
I gotta try that, man. That sounds great.
Yeah,
As
we
I
got to
say,
take
every
a trip
time,
to NC State just to eat this hoagie.
if you guys are ever in Raleigh, that's definitely the place to check out. And it's a really cool restaurant because it's like one of the oldest kind of like restaurants on campus, and like the main street at NC State back in the day where it was always like cool restaurants, and that was kind of like the hub of student activity. And it kind of changed a little bit, and it's a lot more like chains and stuff now, but that's been there through it all. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, my sister was just actually there for a wedding. I should have told her to stop by and get the hoagie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mitch's Tavern is the place, so you have to keep that in mind.
I think it's awesome. Like we talked to you know, we talked to so many guys, and I feel like a lot of them have mentioned like just locals, you know, spots to where they go to school that support them by giving them food, making food named after them. And you know, it's kind of funny because when you think of wrestling, you think of cutting weight. That's the first thing that comes to everybody's mind. So I just think it's funny that, you know, the local places always just name food after the athletes.
I
Yeah,
think we
I think
appreciate food more.
yeah, I think they know that we're big on it, so they like to help us out any way they can.
So this might be the same answer then, but what's your favorite food?
Um, I mean, I love hoagies. I mean, I just love like the fact that they're called hoagies because like in Central PA, that's like what they call them, and
Yeah.
like even in Philly, and then like all over the country, they call it like a sub or something. But it's like a hoagie's just cool, you know. So I've always been big on that. But I think my favorite meal is probably spaghetti and meatballs. But I also love pizza too. Like I've been eating a lot of pizza recently, so I don't know. One of those two probably. But then I never had sushi till I got down to NC State, and I like sushi a lot too. Um, and I don't know. It's hard to pick one for me. I feel like I just kind of like everything. There's really nothing I don't like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love food.
we got a lot of pizza talk lately. A lot of
Only
people
honestly,
in the off season have been talking about pizza, that they've been
I think
eating
yeah.
a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
go
pizza
get
in the
some
off season.
pizza.
Like, dude, the other day, I don't even know if I should be admitting this, but the other day I was here like by myself because my brother was out like hanging out with his friends, and I was hungry and I ordered like a large pizza, and I was like, I'll have some of this and then I'll get it later. And I ate up eating the whole thing, and I was like, geez, that's like kind of embarrassing, but like I was still hungry, so like I didn't know what to do. I just kept eating. But like, yeah, I love pizza. Honestly, the only food I can think of that I don't like is olives. Everything other like olives I don't eat, but everything else I don't have an issue with.
No go on the olives.
No
Yeah,
go on the olives, man. No,
never big
no
on them.
olives will ever be near a pizza or a hoagie
Yeah.
that Trent orders, man. No,
I'm
no
not a
go on the
big pickle guy either. No
Not a
pickles
big
for me.
pickle. I like pickles. I like pickles. What's so you already you mentioned we did a lot of food talk already, man. So one more food question for you. What is your favorite dessert? What is your go-to? Like you want something sweet, what are you going
Some
for?
sweet treat.
Yeah, I'm big on sweet treats. I like vanilla ice cream a lot, and that's probably my pretty basic answer. But like soft chocolate chip cookies or like a soft brownie, that I kill those. So that's probably. But the weird thing is, I've been eating a lot of cheesecake recently too. So
Cheesecake's good.
I like a raspberry cheesecake or something like that. But probably my favorite is just chocolate chip cookies.
Vanilla ice cream's is a different one.
Not
That's
even like a vanilla bean with like the black specks in it.
I mean, any ice cream you put in front of me, I'm really gonna like it. But I just
we need
regular vanilla.
a special Trent Hidlay flavored ice cream. That'd be pretty
Yeah,
fun.
maybe that'll be next. I don't know.
That sounds good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And I think we're just gonna get into a couple other questions we have here for you.
Yeah.
Some wrestling related, some not. We're gonna start off with the one we've been asking, I think, pretty much everyone. Favorite wrestling shoe you've ever worn?
Oh, my favorite wrestling shoes probably. I kind of think of two. I think I had a pair of black and gold Rulons when I was in high school, and they were awesome. They're probably my favorite shoe. Just like really comfortable, great grip, and they look really cool. So I love those. But I also I wear pretty much combat speeds. Ever since I got to college, I've been wearing them every day. I like them a lot. But the old, not like the old, but kind of like the first ones they came out with, were probably my favorite ones of that stuff. I don't know if they were like the combat speed threes or the fours, but I really like those and probably Rulons.
Yeah, we get
We've
we
been
get that
hearing a
answer a
lot
lot.
of
Everyone loves
Rulons.
them, man.
A lot of
Yeah,
Rulons, man. I
need to
think
bring it back. I don't know.
just a legendary shoe, I think.
Yeah,
No
Even
doubt.
like just everybody. Any I feel like it's been like all ages too. Like we've had some like older guys on that compete at the senior level and like some younger guys that are just like just getting into college, and it's all of them. All of them say the Rulons, man.
yeah,
I think that was just like one of the pivotal wrestling shoes.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. But I was gonna ask who's your favorite practice partner, but I'm assuming it's your brother.
Yeah, I mean, we've wrestled so many times. It's honestly, I love wrestling with Hayden, but it's also really frustrating because one, he knows everything that I'm gonna do, and he's so strong that it's like it doesn't matter how much. It seems like it doesn't matter how much weight I have on him. It's always gonna be a close match, and he's a lefty lead too, which is tough, and it's hard for me to kind of score my stuff. But yeah, I'll always enjoy wrestling with Hayden. We have a good feel for each other.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. And if you were to make a perfect match, you could wrestle anyone in history, any weight, they're either going up to you or coming down to you. Who are you picking for that super match?
Oof. Um, Geez, that's hard. Man, I don't know. Maybe just because I'm really good friends with him, and I've trained with him a few times, and it's always like a totally different style than me wrestling him. Is Sammy Sasso? Um, Good friends with him, trained with him a few times, and he's such a competitor, and some of the things he's able to do is crazy, and I've always I've always wanted to. I don't know. I've wrestled him a few times, and after I'm like, I don't know how he did that. Like I have all this weight on him, and I still am like not scoring. So I have a feeling if we were the same weight, it'd be even harder. So I feel like that'd be a cool match.
That'd be a fun match to watch for sure.
Hopefully, I would.
Definitely. I
I
think that
feel
would
like
definitely be something crazy to watch, man.
he would
Something.
I'd probably fall into the trap of getting hit in a cradle or something, and he'd let me know about it. I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Sammy Sasso has just I feel like he's had a really awesome career as well. Just I feel like a lot of the guys your age from PA, like they're all just doing really well. You know,
Yeah, no, Sammy's definitely one of my all-time favorites to watch, and a great friend of mine too. I just the uh, an ultra competitor, and a guy that lays it on the line a lot more than most people, and I think that's something to be said about that. And I got a lot of respect for him, and always will love watching him wrestle for sure.
100%. I think this year especially, he had a really good year this year.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. And we have one final question for you. We asked this question to everybody that has ever come on the show 160
50,
on
60 times.
60, I think probably 60 now episodes. You could take three of your current NC State teammates with you into the zombie apocalypse, build your little survivor team. Who would they be and why?
Okay. So my first wait, three including me,
No,
or
three, so four in total. Three, yourself is not counted.
so
You get to pick three.
my first pick easily is Alex Faison. He's in my grade. He was our 174 pounder this year, and not only is he like in the ROTC and has aspirations to serve after, he's one of the crazier and funnier people I've ever met in my entire life. So I know I could trust him if things get crazy to help me out. So I definitely pick him. Um, I think here a little bit. Probably Ed Scott because he's also just like a crazy man. Like I feel like you don't know what to expect from him all the time, but like you knew like anytime there's a competition, like when he got to NC State as a freshman, like it didn't matter who he was wrestling, like what the situation was. He just get that look in his eye, like he was about to go nuts, and I feel like you need a little bit of that. And I'll probably in my last pick, I'd probably take Isaac Trumbull too, because he's also in the ROTC. Um, and he can run for miles, and he's just a really hard worker, and would definitely be able to kill zombies or build a shed, or I don't know, whatever. I feel like those three guys would give me some good variability with what I need, but performance wouldn't be an issue.
Definitely, man.
Definitely two guys in the ROTC. That's a
Yeah,
good lineup.
yeah, it would definitely help, and I'm sure if guys listen to this, they'll probably be asking why they weren't on the team, but I don't know. They'll have to start showing me some better qualities.
they're gonna start shooting bow and arrows on the weekends
Yeah,
and just be like,
for
yeah,
real.
see Trent, see, yeah, see.
It's like
That'll
every team, they're competitive like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they.
somebody's gonna start pitching a tent in your front yard and be like, I could live out here forever.
Yeah, they will.
It'd be crazy, man. And then final
That's
question for
funny.
you, kind of close up shop here. Say something to the kids, man. The kids that are out there watching, want to become part of the NC State wrestling program or just want to become a D1 wrestler in general. Say something to them, man, that you think would have helped you when you were their age.
Yeah, I think wrestling is a sport where it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter if you're big, small, tall, short, male, female. You can accomplish anything you want in this sport if you really want it and you work hard for it. It's like that's cliche to say, but this sport is all about self-belief and submitting to the fact that it's going to be really hard and there's probably not a whole lot of glory to get from it. And the higher goals you set, the more likely you probably won't reach them. But going through that process, even though it's hard and even though there isn't a lot of glory, you get so much out of that. And I think the earlier you can invest into yourself, and just buy into the process of being great, regardless of results that you get in the sport, you're going to be really well off in life. So that's probably what I would say to kids is, don't worry about the wins and losses right now. Just, work as hard as you can, go all in, buy into the sport, and you'll learn lessons and you'll learn more about yourself than anything else will teach you.
Inspirational
Definitely.
words from Trent.
Wise words, man. Wise words. Let's close it up here. We got one more year watching you, man. You've been a staple to I feel like a lot of people who are fans of wrestling. Your name has been thrown in the hat, as a national contender for your whole career pretty much at NC State. So, we look forward to this one year and we hope you make a big push to the top, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully fans get to learn a little bit more about me. But yeah, I'm an open book. I love connecting with fans, and it's such a cool sport, and I'm lucky to be able to inspire others because a lot of people have inspired me along the way. So I appreciate you guys having me on and sharing some of my story.
Of course,
Of course,
man.
man.
And it's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. We'll see you guys later.